So after rapid expansion into more global markets, Realme is now starting to take on the flagship space in the truest sense with the GT2 Pro, and this could very well be the best Realme phone to date. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. On previous Realme phones, there's always been a sort of parts bin feel, and while that isn't necessarily a negative, especially when you consider the price points targeted, with the GT2 Pro, there is a little bit more due care and attention being paid. Enlisting the help of Japanese industrial designer Naoto Fukasawa is one way to do that. The Realme GT2 Pro rear panel does come coated with what is called a biopolymer finish that kind of mimics paper, or at least Realme says mimics paper, and though I will say it reminds me more of papyrus in that it's thick, textured, but ultimately a little bit more subtle under your thumb or finger. It's not abrasive, it's rather soft and tactile in a way that I think a glass backplate really can't be. There's a certain approachability here that I think really works. Throw in the soft pastel green finish, I think Realme is really onto a winner here, although the good design is somewhat undone with the addition of a panel dedicated to Fukasawa's signature. It does cheapen what is otherwise an intricate design, one that does stand out from the crowd. Without a hefty plate of glass at the rear, the Realme GT2 Pro is genuinely deceptively lightweight and comfortable to hold on top of that. However, I did notice it was a tad top heavy, likely owed to the camera bump and associated sensor tech package within. Because of that, I'm actually glad there is a matte black silicone case in the box, as it added as an added free accessory. It just helps as well that it's genuinely an excellent addition. At the front of this phone is a magnificent 6.7 inch flat LPTO 2.0 AMOLED display, and it's one of the best parts of the package on offer here. Although it has a maximum 3216 by 1440 pixel resolution, even when set at Full HD+, things look excellent on this 120Hz panel. The flat screen is just easy to navigate, and the in-display fingerprint scanner is also well placed for swift unlocking. One of the few annoyances of the Realme GT2's otherwise impressive screen is the auto brightness settings, and my advice would be to disable this, as it can take a long time to react to lighting changes, and that can lead to frustration when things suddenly become less legible or videos even dimmed for just no real discernible reason. Sadly as well, the speakers are not particularly special here either. Despite the Dolby Atmos certification, they can reach almost astronomically loud levels without major distortion though, but there's just a little bit missing here, at least for me. Another gripe is with the hardware here is the lack of an official IP certification. These days it's almost an expectation that a smartphone will come with some sort of water and dust ingress protection. To get a supposed flagship device without one is quite a bitter pill to swallow, given that some affordable devices now come with IP67 ratings as standard. This is likely a cost-cutting measure to ensure that other areas get the best components. If that is the case, it's a little bit more forgivable, but an annoyance all the same. In terms of software, this is where things get a bit muddied, as a quick peek at Realme UI 3.0 that comes atop Android 12, and you'll recognise this as Colour OS in all but name. Can't say I hate it outright, but between this, Oxygen OS and Colour OS, it's getting harder to differentiate between a BBK device these days. You will have access though to a treasure trove of customization and tuning features. At times it can feel though as if there is too much here to contend with, but if you like to tinker with your phone, this is going to be a solid software option. And while the Android skin is somewhat divisive, the performance truly is in step with the best on the market today. Android 12 does come pre-installed here as I mentioned, which runs very well thanks to the combination of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, generous RAM allocation, and probably most importantly for long-term usability, at least as far as I'm concerned, the UFS 3.1 storage. Things load instantly, or at least as close to that approximation as possible, and multitasking is a breeze thanks to the allocation of RAM and the RAM expansion feature, which allows you to set or offset and aside a portion of the onboard storage to act as virtual memory and make some more gains. With either 8 or 12 GB of onboard RAM, this will make little real world difference at least now, but it might do in the future when this phone does start to show its age. One major benefit to the software here is that Realme has extended its own update policy for this device. It has guaranteed at least 3 major Android upgrades and 4 years of security patches on top. Realme didn't quite define just how regular these security patches will be, but there is some level of support here, at least until Android 15 arrives, and then for a further year with those security patch. Boasting a camera setup that utilises dual 50 megapixel sensors, I did have high hopes for the Realme GT2 Pro triple camera array. I've been very impressed though by the camera here and the consistency of the stills in a variety of scenarios, Realme has done a very good job with the camera tuning, and I've been left very happy with about every photo that I've taken with this setup. Here, clearly there was some leftover microscope cameras from last year's Find X3 Pro in the BBK parts bin, and Realme has just decided to throw one in here, along with a 150-degree ultra-wide angle lens. These two inclusions are certainly gimmicky in their own right, but that extra wide field of view does certainly add a vibe that you won't get from many other camera systems, save the OnePlus 10 Pro. Microscope photos, they're fun for a minute, but they do cease to be useful or be usable for anything meaningful beyond that. When sticking to the main sensor though, shots are detailed and have good contrast, colours and dynamic range. That's also pretty solid on top of that. There is a certain pop to photos taken here, and while things are not always 100% colour accurate, the Realme GT2 Pro camera has a certain visual appeal that many other cheaper phones I think lack, and make this much more attractive as a result. There is a sizable 5000 mAh battery tucked away inside the Realme GT2 Pro, and it is fairly solid in my experience. At no point did I worry about my review unit unceremoniously dying, even with a few days of heavy camera usage for the test period. And when playing lots of videos and with that display brightness cranked up, it also proved a little bit easier to tax that internal cell, but a full day of usage was not really a problem even in those instances. When using as a secondary device for texting, emails and photo taking with a backup SIM installed, I could easily get 2 days of usage out of this phone, and on a few occasions I was actually touching a third day before seeking a charger. At 65-watt charge speeds though, you can go from under 10% to 70% in well under 20 minutes with this phone, and it often softens the blow of no wireless charging, and my charging habits simply involve plugging in via USB-C for a few minutes here and there to just keep things running as they should be. So after making a splash in India, the Realme sub-brand clearly has sights set on the rest of the world, and the GT2 Pro is the best such device from the firm so far, and it might be the one to carve out a larger market share. Having tempered my own expectations ahead of time, I'm actually surprised at how good in almost all aspects this fairly affordable flagship Android phone is compared to the rest of the space. You could argue that Realme is taking a more OnePlus-like approach with the GT2 Pro by offering the best internals, a decent camera, and top-tier performance all under the price point of the baseline Galaxy S22. That means you're getting a lot of phone for your money. A few little things irk me, such as a lack of wireless charging, given that this is supposedly a flagship after all, but the 65-watt wired charging definitely helps ease that frustration. Overall though, I've got to say, there is a lot to love here, and while sometimes things feel a little bit unrefined or maybe slightly unpolished, you're definitely getting a lot of bang for your buck. Let us know though what you think of the Realme GT2 Pro down in the comments sections below. This affordable Android might not be available in all regions, but it's definitely one to take a look at if it's available where you live. With that said though, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.